Chase Elliott reveals an epic Darlington throwback scheme. Should NASCAR add more dirt tracks than just Bristol to the schedule? And we take a look at what you guys sent me on the second edition of Show and Tell Tuesday. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric and welcome to Out of the Groove. I hope everyone's had a chance to take a nice long shower, get all the grit and dirt out of your hair, out of your teeth. Some of the photos fans and drivers especially were posting after the race yesterday were quite intense. On today's episode of Out of the Groove, we'll talk about Chase Elliott's epic Alan Kulwicki inspired throwback scheme. NASCAR Next Gen is on track with Toyota, Ford, and Chevy specific drivers and cars on track at Martinsville today and tomorrow, according to reports. We'll talk about that a bit, and then we'll talk about Bristol Dirt. NASCAR's already said they're going to return to Bristol Dirt next season, and according to Steve O'Donnell, they're going to return in 2022 and beyond, potentially, so we could see a lot more dirt racing in the Cup Series in the future. How much dirt is too much dirt? We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but before we get to all that, we've got to thank today's sponsor, Throwback. Stop muscle pain before it stops you. Feeling a little sore after hiking up and down those Bristol grandstands all weekend long? Then Throwback is right for you. Great for muscle aches and pains and joint pain. Throwback is available at stores nationwide. Stop muscle pain before it stops you. Thank you to Throwback for supporting Out of the Groove. NASCAR's annual Throwback weekend is once again scheduled for Darlington, but this year it's in May. Remember, Darlington Raceway is going to have two Cup Series dates. There's a 310-mile race on Mother's Day, and then of course the Southern 500 will be in the playoffs. For that May Mother's Day weekend, that has been designated the Throwback weekend. Chase Elliott is one of the first, if not the first, drivers I've now seen reveal their throwback scheme. It's an Alan Kulwicki Hooters throwback to Kulwicki's 1992 championship season. You can see the car right here, super duper clean. You know, we've seen Alan Kulwicki throwbacks and, schemes inspired by Kulwicki in the past. In fact, even I think Greg Biffle ran an Alan Kulwicki throwback in like 2015 or 2016. So this isn't anything new, but I gotta respect Chase Elliott and Hendrick Motorsports for changing the font of the number 9. I know the number 9 is not the number 7, but at least the changing of the font sort of adds to the theme, adds to the throwback. So this looks really, really clean. Just wanted to highlight that because it's one of the first throwback schemes we've seen so far. And every year, every team's throwback scheme is one of the most highly anticipated, most exciting parts of the throwback weekend. So as more throwback schemes begin to be announced, we'll be talking about many of them, especially many of the highlights here on Out of the Groove. So just wanted to shout out Chase Elliott and Hooters for that beautiful looking race car. NASCAR's Next Gen car is on track this week at Martinsville Speedway. According to Bob Pockers from Fox Sports, last week he tweeted that the test was scheduled for today and tomorrow, March 30th and 31st. Now that was before the weather delay and rain out at Bristol, so I'm not sure if the dates have been changed. I have not seen any images or any coverage of the test so far today, so maybe it's later in the afternoon after I film this. I'm not sure, but let's say tomorrow for sure we will see a Ford, Chevy, and Toyota specific Next Gen car on track at Martinsville. That's right. The manufacturers have their hands on the Next Gen car now, and they're going to get the chance to test their versions of the car this week. Reportedly, Drew Herring will drive the Toyota car, David Reagan will drive the Ford car, and Alex Bowman will drive the Chevy. Weird that they have one current driver and two not as current drivers testing. I don't understand why Chevy's not going with, like, I don't know, Dale Jr. or Jeff Gordon. Probably too expensive, honestly. Anyway, those are the drivers. Now, it's worth noting, Bob Pockris reports that the wraps, the schemes on these cars are intentionally going to be camouflaged to disguise many of each car's unique elements. So while technically, yes, this is the first time Toyota is going to get to test their own car, Ford, Chevy test their own car, we, the fans, aren't going to get a great look at what the Toyota, the Chevy, or the Ford Next Gen car actually looks like just yet. Now, again, manufacturers and teams are expected to have these cars in their possession by this spring, so perhaps one of the upcoming tests we will get a much better view of the Chevy, of the Ford, of the Toyota. Assume it's going to be Camaro, Mustang, and Camry again, but you never know. Maybe Toyota will surprise us with a Supra. Maybe Ford brings out, I don't know, what do they have besides the Mustang these days? A Ford Expedition. Oh, never, that's not going to happen. Anyway, I assume it's going to be Mustang, Camaro, Camry as per usual, but might look a little bit different on the Next Gen car. Anyways, keep your eyes open for that. Maybe we will get a good look this weekend at a Toyota Camry Next Gen car or a Ford Mustang Next Gen. We'll just have to keep our eyes peeled. Now, before we open the mail here on Show and Tell Tuesday, Tuesday, we got to talk a little bit more about yesterday's historic NASCAR Cup Series race at Bristol Motor Speedway, Dirt. NASCAR VP Steve O'Donnell spoke to the media after yesterday's race and offered congratulations to all the people who worked on the track to get the event prepared, to make sure the race could happen, even with all the weather-related obstacles they faced this weekend. But he also talked about future dirt races on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule, and here's some of what he had to say. This is again from Bob Pockers on Twitter.
I certainly learned a number of things during the race and throughout the week that we can apply as we go forward in 2022. But all in all, I'd give it a thumbs up with some things to learn. The fans had asked us for years to look at innovation around the schedule. In fact, we've been taken a task for not making some moves, and we were bold and aggressive this year. And I'm proud of the team for doing that. I'm proud of the industry for taking a chance here.
In another quote, Steve O'Donnell confirmed that NASCAR plans to be back at Bristol Dirt in 2022 and beyond, like Buzz Lightyear. I don't know, Steve O'Donnell already hinting that NASCAR has long-term plans of Bristol Dirt being a staple, a mainstay on the NASCAR Cup schedule. That's new news. But you heard in that clip from Steve O'Donnell, he cites how fans have been pressuring NASCAR to, innovate the NASCAR schedule, to be bold, to take risks, and that's what NASCAR, especially this year, has done by adding a dirt race to the Cup schedule. As I talked about in my post-race review yesterday, I thought it was a very heavy, very risky move, but I thought it paid off pretty well. Aside from the weather delays, of course, I thought yesterday's event for an experimental race, something we hadn't seen in over 50 years, I thought it went very, very well. So I am very encouraged, very excited about the idea of coming back to Bristol Dirt next year to give it a second go. But beyond just Bristol Dirt, of course, 7 road courses on the schedule this year, removing dates from tracks like Chicagoland Speedway, Kentucky Speedway, switching from racing on the historic Indianapolis Oval to the road course layout. A lot of bold and potentially risky schedule changes have been made this year by NASCAR, and they continue to tease larger, even bolder schedule changes in the coming years, with the Chicago Street Course being run in iRacing later this summer, teasing a real-world street course race, more dirt tracks returning to Bristol Dirt. NASCAR is not sitting idly by there, continuing to look at ways to change the schedule. So you heard Steve O'Donnell talking about that right there. Now, focusing specifically on the 2022 Bristol Dirt race, again, it's going to be a spring race. They're already selling tickets, apparently. There have been some rumblings behind the scenes that they may not run the next gen car for this race next year. They may save some of these Gen 6 cars we saw this weekend and run the Gen 6 cars at Bristol Dirt next year, since many of them here are already kind of prepared. Teams already know how to set it up, and the next gen cars are expected to be a little bit more expensive than the Gen 6 cars, on an individual basis. May not want to rough those things up at Bristol Dirt, just a few weeks into their debut season. So there've been some rumblings behind the scenes that we could see the Gen 6 car return for one race next year, that being Bristol Dirt. That obviously is not confirmed and probably will not be confirmed for months. But just wanted to throw that out there. Racing 2 different, iterations of race cars in the same season is nothing new to NASCAR. They did so, between 2007, when they raced some races with the Car of Tomorrow Gen 5 and others with the still Gen 4. So this would certainly not be a new thing. It might make a whole lot of fiscal sense for them to do it next year. Run the Gen 6 for the Bristol Dirt, run next gen everywhere else. Might make a lot of sense. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. This begs the question though, with NASCAR already committing to a second Bristol Dirt race, now sort of turning this spring date into maybe a new annual tradition, this begs the question, does NASCAR need more dirt tracks? Does NASCAR need more dirt races? How many dirt races or dirt tracks is too many? Should NASCAR continue converting asphalt or concrete tracks into dirt, or should they go to purpose-built dirt tracks? Should they build an all-new dirt track from scratch? I mean, they're redoing Auto Club, basically rebuilding that thing from scratch. Who's to say they don't invest and build a new track somewhere else? These are a lot of questions that I think many fans will have slightly varying answers to. If you want my opinion, because it's my show, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you my opinion whether you want it or not. As I first stated months ago, I'm not opposed to the NASCAR Cup Series running the occasional race on dirt. I'm not one of those, fans who believes NASCAR only belongs on paved or concrete tracks, that dirt is for farming. I'm not one of those types of fans. If NASCAR wants to run on dirt occasionally, I say go for it. I don't have any reason to be against it. Now, that being said, I do think NASCAR should primarily focus on asphalt tracks, ovals primarily, with a few road courses spattered in there. I think that's really should be NASCAR's focus. That's what sets NASCAR apart from, more purpose-built dirt racing series like sprint car racing, midget car racing, dirt late models. World of Outlaws kind of have a pretty solid foothold on the dirt racing, world community right now. I don't think NASCAR should be trying to cut into that too much. I think the focus should be on paved ovals and road courses. So while it sounds like NASCAR is committed to Bristol Dirt for at least one more season, Personally, I think things should stop there. I don't want to see the schedule flooded with dirt tracks very suddenly, the same way NASCAR's flooded the schedule with road courses. My entire life growing up, since the early 2000s watching NASCAR, I was used to 2, and for a couple of years, 3 road courses a season. And I thought that was a solid number. I've said before that I think that number could have easily been bumped up to 4 or 5. I think that's a really solid, that's a really solid number. Instead, NASCAR completely went for it and jumped from 2 road courses last year to 7 on the schedule this year, more than tripled the number of road courses across one off season. To me, that maybe was a little too much too soon. I'm not totally opposed to it. Some of these road courses, like Circuit of the America, like the Indy Road Course, we've not seen the Cup cars race at ever before, so I will remain optimistic that those will be good events, but there are kind of unknowns more or less. Personally, because dirt is such a novelty to NASCAR, it's such a new thing, such a different thing, I think they should keep the Bristol dirt race as a one-off, very special event. If you add a second or third dirt race to the schedule on other parts of the calendar, to me, you're just zapping attention away from Bristol dirt. Bristol's a huge venue, can seat well over 100,000 fans. You want to pack that house for that event, make it a can't miss race. If you scatter other dirt tracks through the schedule, that Bristol race is no longer going to be as important, and I think you're only going to hurt the size and scale of that event. So I would like to see NASCAR stick to one dirt track on the schedule. If it's Bristol, which you guys know I'm already not a huge fan of them taking a normal Bristol date away, I'm okay with it because I'll admit, what we saw yesterday was very fun. Drivers seemed to enjoy it, fans seemed to enjoy it, it was a good race. But that leads into my second point. If NASCAR ever does get away from Bristol dirt, say they do this for 2 or 3 years and then they want to move to a different track, I think the answer should be go to a purpose-built dirt track. Don't scatter dirt on Martinsville or Richmond or Daytona. They're not going to do it at Daytona. I don't know why I said that. It's not a funny joke. Don't put dirt on an existing concrete or asphalt track. No, go to a purpose-built track. Try to mend that relationship with Tony Stewart. Go to Eldora, track that can seat probably over 30,000 fans, or even Knoxville, Iowa, where the trucks will head this year for the first time. That track, at least according to Google, can seat around 21,000 fans. I'm sure some temporary seating could be moved in to squeeze in a larger Cup Series crowd, but go to a purpose-built dirt track. It may be difficult to mend that Eldora relationship with Tony Stewart. You'll recall that Tony Stewart effectively ripped Eldora from the Truck Series schedule after he found out NASCAR was bringing the Cup Series to Bristol rather than his track, Eldora. After years of Stewart lobbying NASCAR for a Cup Series race, he felt gypped by NASCAR, felt a bit overlooked, felt like there was no good communication there, and he virtually severed all ties that his track has with the National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing. We reacted to it at the time. Typical Tony Stewart, sticking to his principles, and he's a stubborn guy. It might be difficult for NASCAR to mend that relationship, but that should be what NASCAR tries to do. I don't want to see one of the Martinsville dates turned into a dirt track. I'm not a huge fan of Richmond, but even then, I don't really want to see one of the Richmonds turn into a dirt track. I'd rather one of the Richmond dates be a dirt track than one of the Bristol dates personally, but I don't want to see this becoming the trend. It'll feel too temporary. It'll feel too much like a gimmick, and while some gimmicks can be good, this one will feel desperate. If you really want NASCAR on dirt so bad, build a NASCAR-suited dirt track. I'll say this again. Right now, it feels like SMI and NASCAR are heavily investing in the sport's future. They're spending money right now, whether it's converting Bristol into a dirt track for this temporary event, whether it's renovating Talladega, renovating Phoenix, completely redoing Auto Club Speedway as they're expected to do. They're tearing half the place down and rebuilding from scratch. There's real talks about renovating the fairgrounds. NASCAR and SMI and ISC, owned by NASCAR, they're talking about spending money. Build a dirt track. Build a half-mile dirt track somewhere in your dream location. I don't know. My point is, if NASCAR is going to continue racing at dirt tracks, if they're ever going to expand their dirt track catalog, go to purpose-built dirt tracks. Don't keep trying to temporarily, reskin existing pavement tracks. I don't like that idea. I don't want that to become the trend going forward. Those tracks are built the way they are for a reason. If you want a dirt track so bad, build your own. Make it beautiful. Build it exactly how you need a NASCAR dirt track to look. Bring all the experts in. Make it happen. Personally, I'd still want NASCAR to keep the number of dirt races a year to 1 for the Cup Series. The Truck Series can be your dirt series. They have 2 on the schedule this year. If you want to add a couple, experimental dirt races to trucks, trucks are dirty. Trucks naturally have more of an off-road feel to them. Trucks on dirt makes a whole lot of sense. That's a unique characteristic of that series. I say go for it. For trucks, If you want 5 dirt tracks on the schedule, I say go for it. The Cup Series, though, to me should be limited to 1 dirt track. I can see the alternate perspective. You could say that, with the Cup Series only having 1 dirt track on the schedule, veterans of the series, they don't have any incentive to actually get good at dirt races. They could just say, hey, that's 1 race in March. If I run bad that weekend, who cares? I'll win the next weekend. Like, I'm talking about the Kevin Harvicks who ran poorly yesterday, or Kyle Busch who had trouble yesterday. Like, if you only have 1 dirt track on the schedule, the incentive for those guys to actually go out and practice dirt racing, or for the teams to build specific dirt cars, isn't really there. It sort of becomes kind of just a one-off wild card random event, which may be fun for fans, but it may not be quite as legitimate to those competitors. I can certainly see the other argument. If you add a couple more dirt tracks, now there's incentive for the drivers and teams to actually get good at dirt races, because now they're really important. There's a lot on the schedule. It's kind of the same thing with road courses. For years, Cup Series drivers kind of just skated through the 2 road courses on the schedule because they knew that, hey, if we have off weekends here, we'll be good everywhere else. Now, with 7 on the schedule, including 1 in the playoffs, you got to be good at road courses. You can't afford to just skip the road course races now. You got to be good. You got to be on your game. It's put extra pressure on the competitors, and I think that's good for the sport. So I can see both arguments, but personally, since it feels like this dirt event is really just a marketing ploy, is really just an event for the fans more than anything, I want NASCAR to keep it special as much as they possibly can. I don't want the schedule flooded with dirt tracks the way they kind of have with road courses in recent years. I'm not opposed to the 7 road courses. I will say I think 4 or 5 would have been the right number, but I just don't want to see them jump the shark with dirt tracks as well. That's all I'm saying. Let me know how you feel about NASCAR returning to Bristol Dirt next spring. Let me know how many dirt tracks or what kind of dirt tracks you'd like to see NASCAR experiment with in the future. Now, it's time for the 2nd edition of Show and Tell Tuesday. Back by popular demand, a couple weeks ago, I reopened a P.O. box for the first time in like 2 years after many of y'all sent me messages telling me you wanted me to open a P.O. box again. I finally did it. So now, it's Show and Tell Tuesday. Let's see what y'all have sent me in the past week. Those of you who sent me things, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I love the letters. I love everything. So thank you guys for taking advantage of that. If you want to know my P.O. box address, it's down in the description below. Might see your letter or your package appear on a future edition of Out of the Groove Show and Tell Tuesday. Now, we got our first envelope here from Bradley in Florida, and he has sent, oh boy, more trading cards, folks. Specifically, more Matt Kenseth trading cards. Oh, the yellow and black. These things are gorgeous. Wow. I like just the helmet view. Man, NASCAR trading cards are pretty freaking awesome. Boy, I have a feeling this one is more trading cards. This is from Patsy and Adam in Virginia. They sent me a very nice letter. I appreciate that. And they sent me some very cool trading cards in sleeves. Oh yes, more Matt Kenseth cards. Some pretty recent ones. I like this one with the purple sort of holographic effect. Wow. Ooh, and an Eric Jones. This is another one of those race day relics where they have a piece of, what is this a piece of? What is this? Is it like a patch of his fire suit, a part of the tire, maybe a part of the sheet metal? I know they've done that before. Either way, it's very thick, but really, really cool. I appreciate that, guys. I appreciate the kind letter. Deb from Michigan, from the Upper Peninsula part of Michigan. She sent a nice magnet. I'll have to get up there sometime. It looks beautiful. Probably pretty chilly, but I'll visit in the summer. Another one from Michigan. Dave sent a pretty cool letter. He also attached a photo of an old race car he used to work on. We talked about number placements. Check out this number placement, the 24. It's both diagonal and on kind of the side. It's moved back. That's unique. I kind of like it, actually. Maybe it just works for this car. I don't know how that would translate to NASCAR, but certainly unique. Certainly add this one to the conversation when we talk about new number placements. George from Iowa sent a bunch more Matt Kenseth trading cards. My goodness, gotta catch them all. I think I have caught them all. I'm about to become a master Pokemon trainer. I think I have every type of Matt Kenseth under the sun. I'm impressed. You guys have sent me all these cards. I don't think I've gotten like any duplicates. So I have a wide variety. Take a look at some of these. I like the unique way some of them are cut out. That's super cool. Oh, heck yeah. I missed this patriotic 20 DeWalt scheme. These are awesome. Adding them to the collection. Thank you, George. I joked about this in last week's episode, but I didn't realize NASCAR trading cards were so common that you guys were able to find so many of them. Well, I appreciate you guys sharing some of them with me. We've got one last box here from Eric's Diecast, from one Eric to another. Very nice. Oh my gosh, it's more trading cards. How about that? NASCAR 2021 trading cards. Let's see what's in here. Y'all have sent me so many trading cards. I'm gonna have to do a stream or something where we just look at each of these individually and admire the artwork, because, all right, well, let's open some of them right here. Matt DiBenedetto, that's super sharp. Ooh, JJ Yaley looking shiny. Super cool. Hamlin, Spencer Boyd. Who is this? Oh, Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell. Jimmy Johnson Retro Series. Dang, they're calling Jimmy old. They're calling him retro. How about that? Oh my, Mike Harmon. They got a Mike Harmon. How much is this worth? $1 trillion easily. Oh my gosh, look at that man. Jeez Louise. Thank you for all these Eric's Diecast. Yeah, we'll have to open all these up in a separate video or stream or something because there are a ton. Morgan Shepherd, they got them all. They got a trading card for everyone. When do I get a trading card? I don't drive, but can I get a trading card? Because this is pretty cool. Morgan Shepherd, look at that man. Well, this was the trading card edition of Show and Tell Tuesday. Thank you guys for these. Again, I'm ready to take on any Pokemon trainer out there with my Bubba Wallace Adam Petty car. I'm pretty sure this thing could beat anything. I don't know any Pokemon. Your Charizard doesn't stand a chance. Vroom. I don't know, but no, these are super cool. I'm gonna take good care of these. Thank you guys for sending stuff. Again, if you want to send me anything, you can check out that P.O. Box address down in the description. Thanks for making Show and Tell Tuesday another rousing success. That's gonna do it for today's episode. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. We talk NASCAR daily, news, predictions, rumors, race reviews, all that great stuff, and more. As always, a huge thank you to my amazing Patreon supporters as well. Plenty more to come this week and next. It is an off weekend for NASCAR with it being Easter this coming Sunday, but there's still going to be plenty of stories to cover, things to talk about. So I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.